lay down with our wrong sides together, so we'll keep the right side of our lining. What we're going to attach for a start is this side of our lining, which is the top side, which is not the fused side, okay? So it's the top side that's unfused. We're going to attach these two together. We need to do that, the seams would be on the inside like that, okay? So we're going to, but remember how when we stitched along this top, we stopped at 1 centimetre from the end, okay? So that's going to help us to be able to turn these to the inside like that. So in actual fact, what we do is we mimic it. So, I'm trying to get that the best I can see on the video. So I'm pulling that seam to the inside, pulling that seam to the inside, like, because that's what we want to end up stitching, matching at the top and stitching down. I'm going to flip it over and then grab those seams. Okay, that's why we didn't stitch all the way, because now we can actually, nice and close to that, stitch all the way down. I'm just going to put a pin right where that seam is, because that's the trickiest part that you're going to have to manipulate, is your life around that seam. Put a pin at the bottom, like that. We're going to literally stitch all the way through there. Once back tack, stitch down, back tack. Okay, now when we flip it this way, make sure you get that everything out from underneath so you're not accidentally stitching on something you shouldn't be stitching on. Okay, the easiest thing to do is to not stitch all the way through. It's remembering back to pedal pusher pants when we did splits in the sides. The easiest thing to do is to literally go from that point there that we've and back tack there, stitch all the way down, and then back tack when we get to the end of our lining. Okay, that's the easiest thing to do. If I flipped it, I'm going to flip it the other way so you can see it. The other way, back tack, stitch down 1 centimetre seam allowance. There's no guide to anything to show you where to stop other than feeling. So if you do it from this side, you can feel that seam in there, put a pin in that seam, but it is easier to do, if you can pin it, it is easier to flip it over and do it from this side, because you can see that's that point or that pivot point or that stitch finishing there, so that's where you stop and start, okay? So literally, I want you to, from that exact same point, 1 centimetre seam allowance, I went over it a little bit, I backpacked a little, which is not going to really matter unless you're catching something down on the other side, but you're aiming to stop and start right at that point. I might go back and unpick mine and have another go at it. Stitching down, pulling my pins out as I go, making sure the edge to edge on my lining and my main, all the way to the bottom of that lining, and then this back tack once I get to the bottom. Okay. So I will see how I overran it. I'm going to go back and I'm going to unpick that and have another go at it. Okay. Not that it will really impede anything, but it would just be easier if I wasn't stitched there. Alright, let's go back and let's have a look at it from the right side now. Okay. So if that's the way it wants to sit like that, that's the side that I've stitched on. I'm now going to go in and I'm actually going to bluff it as far up as I possibly can bluff it, which I should be able to get because this is open at the top.
Towards lining?
Yes, towards the lining, that's right, yep. So because that top's open, you should be able to get into it still. All the way from the bottom right to the top. Because what you... What I'm doing is I'm just pulling that seam out of the way so it doesn't get caught in my bluff, because it wants to fall back in that way, so I'm pulling it out. You can either choose to bluff to that 1 centimetre seam or bluff all the way to the top. It really doesn't matter. As long as the seam's not caught, it's all good. Okay, and the reason why we're bluffing is to hold that seam back so it doesn't show. Now let's look at it again, because remembering as we're wearing in this garment here, and we're going to give him a good old press so that he rolls. Remember, we want him to roll to that inside here. So if we imagine this is how we're going to wear it, open it this way, so that's how we're going to wear it. If if our split accidentally opened, that bluff is to stop that lining from peeking out. Okay, it tucks it back in. Otherwise, if we didn't bluff it, or if we did a really good ironing job and a stitching job, it would still probably stay back inside there. But to guarantee that, if we bluff it that way, if our split opens when we're walking, there's never going to be any lining sneaking its way to the wrong side or the right side. Okay. So, how did we start off again? We pinned it. Oh, sorry, thanks, hon. Oh.